Women say, I hate all men. I don't ever correct her because there has to be a reason that you feel that way. And who am I to tell you that you're not allowed to? I'm not. And when men say, like, what about me? Are you an awful man? Then don't feel hit. If I wasn't aiming for you, don't feel hit. You know what I mean? They are always asking the wrong questions instead of saying, why does it have to be all men? Why aren't you asking, why do women hate all men? Like, whose fault is that? Is that mine? Or is it the cause of a man? And part of intersectional feminism is autonomy. The freedom to do and choose how you walk and move in this world is solely up to you and nobody else. So if you want to hate all of them until you find a good one, by all means. That's what I did. And it worked.
Yikes. Look, guys, I technically consider myself a feminist in that I obviously support full legal equality for men and women. But this right here is the face of toxic third wave feminism that has given the modern feminist movement such a terrible, terrible name. You literally do just hate all men. The smear that was thrown at the old school feminists is now actually kind of true, at least for some of them. You do realize, Drew, that you are defending the blanket hatred of an entire demographic group of people simply because of their immutable characteristics. It's giving woke KKK. And it's so pathetic how Rainn Wilson just sat by and nodded like a seal, clapped along like a seal as she defamed all men. And he's just like, oh yeah, on his podcast. Grow a spine. Challenge her on that. That's pathetic, dude. I mean, look, let's actually engage with the substance of what Drew said here. And to see how effed up her logic is, just swap out the words men with black people. Whenever someone says, I hate all black people, I don't condemn them because there must be a reason. Girl, what? Why aren't you asking why they hate all black people? Do you see it now, Drew? Do you see how insanely out of touch and bigoted and ignorant your arguments are? Yet the internet has made this person some kind of icon, some kind of digital celebrity. The comment section on this just disturbed me. I adore this woman so freaking much. I need her as a therapist. 26,000 likes. We relate and love her for a reason because we all experienced it. 3,300 likes. Drew, don't miss. 6,900 likes. Period. Tell it, Queen Drew. 700 likes. And that original video has been seen millions and millions of times. She's one of the most popular influencers that I've seen, honestly. And she's killing it professionally. All while preaching an openly discriminatory, hateful, and divisive ideology. That's really unfortunate. I want to roll you guys another clip to just show you that this wasn't a one-time thing. She didn't somehow misspeak. Like, this is a theme of her content, basically, that it's okay to hate all men. Let's take a listen.
When women say they hate all men, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. You should. Yeah, absolutely.
I will never say, like, oh, not all men. Like, I do think it's all like,
I've said before, they're all guilty until proven innocent in my eyes.
I think they should start in prison and work their way out.
It's a reward-based system. You know what I mean? You have like a reading log and you color it in. Every time you do something nice, you move up.
Yeah.
Or you just have no access to internet and no phone, and you have to earn it.
Yeah.
Like an Eagle Scout. Like, you have to be able to tie like 7 different knots.
Yes, exactly.
You have to be able to build a fire from scratch. And then also you have to hike.
Get them a little sash with some badge on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to see them walking around in it, so I know that they've done.
You have to wear it as identification.
Catcalling badge. Like.
Now, I do want to be careful because I think this one especially is at least partially meant humorously, meant as a joke. I do not believe that either of these ladies actually believe that men should start in prison and then work their way out. They're clearly being hyperbolic for the sake of their argument. But they do, to some extent, view men as guilty until proven innocent, which is Orwellian, discriminatory, and fundamentally unfair. Now, I understand that men as a category commit rates of violence against women at an alarmingly high rate, and I am mortified by that. But you can't assume anything about an individual man because of that. That's the definition of discriminatory stereotyping, of profiling. Again, imagine applying that logic to black people who do commit certain categories of crimes at a higher rate. It would be racist and totally unfair to then extrapolate that we should assume black people are criminals or assume they're guilty then, and they can prove themselves innocent. Once again, do you see how effed up that is? How messed up that sounds? So no, they're definitely not being entirely serious. And I can actually totally see why these women are incredibly successful. They've got charisma, they've got personality, they've got real talents. But it's disturbing to me that they're using them in such a divisive and hateful and ignorant way. And guys, it's this kind of toxic feminism that gave rise to the Andrew Tate movement, the red pill, and all these other things that I've criticized that I think go way too far and push a lot of toxic ideas. But they didn't occur in a vacuum. They didn't come out of nowhere. They came about because a generation of young men genuinely felt like there was no version of masculinity they were really allowed to embody that wasn't viewed as toxic, that they were discriminated against or hated because of their men, that the fact that they're men, or because men as a group do some bad things. And that is obviously going to fuel resentment that takes people into a dark place. Doesn't mean it's okay. Doesn't mean it's justified, the most extreme red pill stuff that's hateful and discriminatory against women in turn, but it does occur for a reason. We can put 2 and 2 together. So if you actually want to see peaceful coexistence and harmony between the genders, like I do, you should reject this toxic brand of feminism and get back to the basics of advocating for equality between men and women, not stigmatizing all men and advocating for blanket discrimination against the male sex. That's just my take. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you ever seen this person's content, and did you have the same response to it as me? Do remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet.